And we're off. All right. How'd you like the little intro? Actually, one of our listeners actually created that for me, sent it here the other day, and hopefully it played. I'm trying to do this technology stuff as I got some new stuff connected, and I had to go through some work to even get it connected the way I wanted it connected. Um, Trying to get this right on my face because I notice I'm blending in with the other side or about what's behind me. Um, so yeah, we're here. Definitely got a new mic, as you can see. And thank you for thank thank our listener who sent me um, an intro music. Emailed it to me and said, "Play this for your intro music and see if you like it." And I was fine with it. Definitely has a little groove, little beat, little jazzy, little hip hop, and a little taste of jazz in it. Very smooth, very smooth. Really appreciate that. Um, for our listeners doing that and going the extra mile for many of you that do. Uh, welcome in, and let the party begin. We're here for definitely had some company this week. So I'm actually recording on the 19th. This is coming out the 20th because I don't have anything on the bubble for the 20th. So, and then my listener who sent me it Tuesday and was like, "What happened? You didn't try it on the last videos? Didn't those videos were out before you sent me the intro?" So I really had to get busy with this now. So this is actually the first time I used it, and hopefully it came out. I believe it did. I'm hoping it did. We will see. Because I tried it earlier, it didn't work, but I think hopefully I made the right adjustment for it to work. I'm not the best sound person. I've said many times I'm a novice, had to go through some work to even get this connected to make sure, because this was not working. And then I was able to figure it out, which I'm going to give my SO was like, you should be happy with yourself because you were able to do that in a way that allowed you to figure it out, that you were able to troubleshoot. She goes, "You're a better troubleshooter than you think you are through this technology." Yeah, I have been able to do some, but I still feel the more I've learned, the less I know. And that kind of goes with conscious, but let's not put that level of AI on conscious. But I heard your guys' voices. I did do yesterday was the second Dhampada. Great text, very ancient Buddhist text, but I heard you guys' calls and I've seen the results even on my watches, which has increased, and the people increasing subscribers that I've noticed have increased by a whole lot. I've seen it. And so we're getting into the reality of the rulers. There's some answering books we still need. We have not touched the all of Pistis of Sophia. We will get back there. We also got the Sophia of Jesus Christ, the Sophia of Christ, and we also got this one, which is another great book. We're going to bring somebody else, another feminine, powerful aspect that they really did not want you to know about. They tried to burn it. They tried to get rid of it. But in the Nag Hammadi, it was found. And it's called The Reality of the Rulers, Part 1. And we got another fabulous, this one's fabulous. And we have another very, very powerful feminine emanation, goddess aspect of this that's going to come through this. And it's very, very powerful. When I really seen this, I was like, oh my gosh. In this story, it's not Sophia. It has a connection to Eve, but it's not Barbelo, right? Barbelo was thought and afterthought, which created Sophia, which is all these emanations are actually the connection of the feminine divinity, right? That our Christianity, Western canonized version, 325 AD, the Council of Trent, all of us who are knowers know this was when it got hogwashed, hand-tied, and it was now exoteric for control, power, reigning, pillaging, and stuff. And that's why I was really looking at, there's this, I was turned on by the visitor, my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter came and visited to this show called Castlevania. which is kind of a cartoon, but it's an adult cartoon, and it goes into a lot of what we're talking about. And when I looked at like etymology, I look at a word in etymology like, let's say, I see etymology and I go, oh, wow. They were calling the names that were given to the unbelievers who did not follow the religious aspects of Judaism and Christianity, especially, and some of the Muslims, of calling them pagans. But when you look up the word pagan, all it means is a villager, somebody who creates medicine out of herbs, somebody, and then they call them witches. Come on now. We end in the word pagan, and then I'm still seeing people using it, and I'm like, people that are supposed to be educated and have knowledge using the word pagan. I'm going, hey guy, pagan don't mean what you're saying at all. In fact, it's clear the other side of the polarization of what you're saying. It has nothing to do with it. You're still falling for the okie dokes of the religious aspects of the powers. What we love, and you guys have spoken, I've seen how much new people have came through Gnosticism, how much people are sending me message to go back. They want more Gnostic books read and shared here and dealt with. And I'm like, I'm for you. I just wanted to give us a little break, do something different, because those are very, very ancient Buddhist texts. But I heard you, and definitely being led, but there's nothing wrong. It wasn't like I was going to get to them. But back to the word pagan. And when you look at the word pagan, all it means is villager and farmer. Somebody who's really knowledgeable of nature and how to grow, manicure, heal, and eat, because your medicine cabinet, really, in reality, if this wasn't what we've seen, which Gnosticism tells us why this reality is the way it is, hence the name of this episode is part 1, the reality of the rulers. And these rulers it's talking about are the archons. But anyways, they took this word pagan, gave you a reality of unreality by taking a word and manipulating it, showing you how strong programming is. I mean, programming whips your tail if you aren't aware. If you haven't tapped in and taken your consciousness and worked on yourself and expanded, a program will run on you, and you will be totally under the spell of the program. You'll be just a loopity loop, and that's all you'll do is loopy loop. And you'll defend that against them who are trying to set you free with truth that goes beyond the program of politics, religion, and all, and the education system hijacked. All this is part of the archon structure of the reality of the story. But there was somebody in this reality of the ruler, part 1, that came along that the archons were on their heads because they couldn't deal and they had no power over. And this is really what it's about. But going back to pagan, see how strong that this program has been run on us for centuries and centuries. And then you look up now and you see people saying stuff in the reality of now, how everything's looping in a certain way, even though you have a country that's far east that's called our enemy, China, but the people are depopulating and not getting married. In the West, people not getting married, depopulating. How is this program when these are supposed to be two separate governments, right? Because it's all under the same system. And I was trying to tell somebody this the other day that had given me a call. We're almost at the 9:30 mark. So I'm going to get ready to get started on this part 1, a reality of the rulers, part 1. I'll leave you with this thought. And thank you for this intro, and I hope it plays. I believe it will. I tried earlier on that. It didn't. Then I made an adjustment, and I hope it did. When I go back and do this, I will be able to see. But anyways, and I will adjust as I go along to do it. But anyways, thank you for the members just sending me intros now. And I even have another one wanting to send me an intro now, a very even younger listener connected that makes art and music, even younger than that one. That one was in their late 30s or 40, I believe, makes music. This one is even younger, way younger, and asked if they could do that. And I said, of course you can. But anyways, correction, Danny, no more anyways. We have a direction here. We're not directionless. But anyway, see how this becomes a program within you by even using words. Words are power. I'm even correcting myself and being aware. The direction we are going here is how we can be programmed easily by a word that doesn't even mean it. And then you're calling these people pagans like it's a bad word. And you look up the word and go, how is this a bad word? Actually, it's very positive. But the hijinks of everybody else, they just fall for it through the programming of the powers that be, hence the archons, the systems, the programs, the program after program, government after government, all this stuff, the things we see in the physical. I mean, to me, this makes sense. I mean, it does. I'm surprised with myself, and I'm going to close with this one. I will close with Danny talking. Is that we must be activated at this time. There has to be a major activation, and there's in this reality of the rulers, activation will be mentioned big time. So let's get started. Let me share this, read this, get my trusty glasses on so I can read, or I might not see it. And also, the reality of the rulers is what we're going to do. All right. Perfect. Let's start the reality. It's also called the hypostatus of the archons. The rulers that was left in the system are the archons. They're like what I would call the archons, similar to me, the archons are very much. Let me do something real quick here. Back here, I want to make sure this layout is perfect into what I want to do. Fill, split screen fill. Okay. And I don't think I can do it from here. Never can. Let's go back here. Okay. So the archons to me are like parasites, controlling the reality as far as like guards, prison guards, checking in, making sure you're not escaping the mindset. As you start to glitch the matrix, you start not to fit into it. That's really your way out. Some very interesting things about this that I'm starting to see how the archons are overseeing even structures. This would be the Matrix, the Smiths in the movies, the Matrix, that he would say, "Look, don't look in their eyes," when in the movie The Matrix, right? So let's go ahead and start reading. But remember this. Because of the reality of the authorities, inspired by the Spirit of the Father of Truth, the great messenger. Let me look at this real quick. Okay. The great messenger, referring to the authorities of the darkness, told us that our contest is not against flesh and blood. Rather, the authorities of the universe and of the spirits of the wickedness. I have sent you because you inquire about the reality of the authorities. Their chief is blind because of his power, ignorance, arrogance. He said, with his power, I am God and there's no other but me. When he said this, he sinned against all. So really it's telling you the God of this world sinned. And his sin was acknowledging he was the only one out of his ignorance and arrogance when he wasn't. So that's why he's the father of liars. That's why when you look in the Bible that we know of, the canonized version, Jesus tells a religious sect, you have your father, who? The devil. Who was he telling? The religious people. Guess which religious people he was talking to? Wink, wink. Yeah, wayas. Way, just reverse it. You'll know what I mean. The chief is blind because of his power, ignorance and arrogance in his power. When he said this, he sinned, right? The speech rose up to incorruptibility. There was a voice that came forth from the incorruptibility saying, you're wrong, Samuel, that is God of the blind. So really, he was telling him, you're God of the blind. This is really who you are and what you are. His thoughts became blind, have expelled his power. This is the blasphemy he had spoken. He pursued it down to the chaos and abyss. His mother and the instigation of Pistis Sophia. And that's another book we were going through. She established each of the offsprings and conformity that its power after the pattern of the realms that are above. For by starting from the invisible world, the visible world was invented. As incorruptibility looked down into the region of the waters, her image appeared in the waters. And the authorities of the darkness became enamored of her, but they could not lay hold of the image which she had appeared to them in the waters, because of their weakness, since being that merely have soul cannot lay hold on those who have spirit, for they were from below, while it was from above. So the reality of the trueness is what the Gnostic Gospels, which were shut down by Rome in 325 AD, and then they went back to their slaughterhouses. Let's be honest. That's what they did. They went, killed, and pillaged anything that came against them. They were brutal war. They were about war, brutality. And if you think that's God, I mean, I got to look at you sideways. Because but the warped of the programming, you see, even 2,000 years where people believe and buy stuff that should have been revealed a long time ago. And all it took was that. But the blindness of the God that's blind, the God of this world cloaked as the ultimate one, is not the ultimate one. That there is an above action, hence where we came from. That's why you never see peace and unity and oneness in this level of this reality. You never do, never have. There's individuals that come together and create a good code of connection and a good unity and oneness, but the whole, if you're looking for the whole banana, it's bananas. It's what this is telling you. It's not going to. It's craziness. The rulers laid plans and said, "Come, let us create man, and we will soil from the earth, model their creature as one wholly of the earth. The rulers have bodies that are both feminine or female and male, and faces from the faces of the beast. They took some soil from the earth and modeled their man after their body and after the image of God that appeared to them in the waters." And this image of God they're talking about is Yada-Baoth. Weya. Notice if you go into the first chapter and second chapter of Genesis, and this has really captivated me for decades now, it looks like two different creation, because it is one from above and one from below. Yeah. He said, "Let us lay hold of it by the means of the form that we have modeled, so that it may see its male partner. We may seize it from the form that we have modeled, not understanding the partner of God because of their powerlessness." The powers defunct. They don't really have power into the total realm of wholeness. They have power in deception, power in construction of systems. But here's the thing is, they're always trying to vamp you or suck your power. That's why we see this all the time. They're trying to get us to give them power by sucking our essence, by taking our essence, because they lack it. That they're really trying to crack the code of the divine light, the divine spark. Wow. And breathe into their face. He partnered with, not understanding the partner of God because of their powerless. And he breathed into their face, and the man came to have a soul and remained in the ground many days. He couldn't move. He had no life. And they couldn't, that's not there. I'm just telling you, this is part of this. They didn't, in the creation of in the Gnostic creation, right, book, that's what they said. But they could not make him rise because of their powerlessness. They could not give life. Like storm winds, they persisted in blowing, and they might try to capture the image which had appeared in them in the water. So they're already acknowledging that they had to get Sophia's imprint, because that was divine light. They couldn't do it unless they try to get the image. They're trying to image Sophia's reflection of the water. Remember that from the earlier text and what it even said earlier here. And they could not make him rise because of powerlessness, like storms persisted blowing, and they might try, right? They might try him because of their powerlessness, like the storm winds they persisted in blowing, that they might try to capture that image which had appeared to them in the water, and they did not know the identity of its power. They had no knowledge of the higher self or higher realms. He's calling himself God, and he ain't nothing but a layman compared to the real power, which is in the above, in the unity and oneness and the all, the pleroma. Now, all these events came to pass by the will of the Father of all. Afterward, the Spirit saw the man of the soul on the ground, and the Spirit came forth from the adamantine land. It descended and came to dwell in him, and that man became a living soul. And the Spirit called his name Adam, since he was found moving upon the ground. The voice came from the incorruptibility of the assistants of Adam, the incorruptibility of the assistants. The rulers gathered together all the animals of the earth and all the birds of the heaven and brought them to Adam to see what Adam would call them, that he might give a name to each and all the birds and the beasts. The rulers took Adam and put him in the garden, that he might cultivate it and keep it, watch over it. They issued a command him, saying, every tree in the garden you shall eat, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you don't eat, nor touch, for the day you eat from it you shall surely die. They said this to him that he may not understand what they said. Rather, by the Father's will, they said this in such a way that he might in fact eat, and Adam might not regard them as would a man of an exclusively material nature. The rulers took counsel with one another and said, come, let us keep a deep sleep to fall on Adam. And he slept. Now, the deep sleep that they caused to fall on him, and he slept, is ignorance. There's the clothing of the sleeping of ignorance. I love this. They opened, this is why this runs circles around the cat and eyes. The cat and eyes is, when I look at it, I'm just like, you have to dig deep to find revelation knowledge, because it's like a needle in a haystack. When you get the knowledge, you can find it. But this thing is just gold upon gold upon gold layered with it. Ignorance. Opened the side, which was like the living woman, but it's not. And they built up the side of some flesh in a place of her. Adam came to be only with a soul. The woman of the Spirit came to him and spoke with him, saying, rise, Adam. And when he saw her, he says, it is you who have given me life, who will be called the mother of the living. For she is my mother, she is my physician, and the woman, and she has given birth. This is so much different than what we've told. She raised him up. Come on now. She raised him up. Come on now. She breathed in him, which the archons, Yada-Baoth, couldn't do because they didn't have that breath of life. They were trying to get like a distilled version of it, an image, a negative image, like taking a picture and getting the negative of the real photo, of the original photo, and you have these negatives, right? That the old cameras used to have, and they're trying to get that image from the reflection of the window of water, right? They were trying to get that camera of water reflection and couldn't breathe the life. But now she returns and breathes life, and he admits that she made him a living spirit now, and he walked up. He stood up straight. He walked. He was laying and crawling on the earth and really had no life in him, even though he was there. This is very heavy. The authorities came up to their Adam, and when they saw his female partner speaking with him, they became very excited and enamored of her. They said to one another, come, let us sow our seed in her. And they pursued her, and she laughed at them for their foolishness and blindness. In their clutches she became a tree and left before their shadowy reflection, resembling herself, and they defiled it fully. And they defiled the seal of her voice. And by the form they had molded together with their own image, they made themselves liable to condemnation. So they created something that was her image of her, because she actually foiled them, laughed at him, got away from their blindness. They didn't really apprehend her. She sent a false aspect of herself that they created, and then they honed in on it, and then they really did this to themselves. Wow. This is the day before the holiday Easter. Many of you that came through this now with Christianity. In this gospel, that is very similar to the crucifixion of Jesus, being away and laughing at Yada-Baoth, making him think he crucified something that really wasn't there. I love it. This is really getting lost in the mist. Their clutches became a tree, defiled it, and were liable to condemnation. Then the female spiritual presence came in the form of a snake, the instructor, and taught them, saying, what did he say to you? Was it, from every tree in the garden you shall eat, but from the tree of the recognizing good and evil you shall not eat? The woman of the flesh said, not only did he say don't eat, but he even said don't touch it, for the day that we eat it, you will surely die. The snake, the instructor, said, it's not the case that you will surely die. For out of jealousy, remember, this is a jealous God. He said this to him to you. Remember, I told you when he was saying he was a jealous God, it was the higher realms, but it was really you. I'm telling you, it was really you. And this is the explanation. He told you not to eat of the knowledge of good and evil, which is discernment, which is the whole banana into maturity, which is being able to have this aspect of being able to have a discernment. I've been telling you for guys for months that are waking up that your discernment needs to be sharper than it ever has. Your discernment needs to go to another level. As you ascend in your consciousness, you'll be able to discern the next levels. You're dealing with parasites, spiritual archons. A woman of flesh took the tree and ate, gave it to her husband as well as herself. And those beings who possessed only a soul ate, and their imperfection became apparent in their lack of knowledge. They recognized that they were naked of the spiritual, and they took fig leaves and bound themselves. They now realize the nakedness had nothing to do with them being physically naked. The nakedness, they realized they didn't have any spiritual understanding, or they lacked knowledge. They lacked gnosis. They weren't clothed with their gnosis on, is why they got taken for this. Now this has been activated by the eating of the fruit, which is really the activation of discernment of the spiritual and natural, right? And this is really what's happened. So they recognized that they were naked of spiritual. They took fig leaves, bound themselves. When the chief ruler, right, the chief ruler said, Adam, where are you? For he had not understood what he had happened. Adam said, I heard your voice and was afraid because I was naked and I hid. The ruler said, why did you hide unless it's because you have eaten from the tree which alone I commanded you not to eat, and you have eaten? Adam said, the woman you gave me fruit and I ate. And the arrogant ruler cursed the woman. The woman said, the snake led me astray and I ate. They turned to the snake and cursed its shadowy reflection. Its reflection. It was powerless. They did not comprehend that it was a form they themselves had modeled because it's physical. From that day, the snake came to be under the curse of the authorities until the perfect command was come. That curse fell on the snake. They turned to their Adam and took him and expelled him from the garden along with his wife, for they have no blessing since they too are under the curse. Moreover, they threw human beings into distraction, into a life of toil, and their human beings might be occupied by worldly affairs and may not have opportunity being devoted to the Holy Spirit. This is heavy because you know what I see in this? This is where we're going to get to something that I had not seen. So I'm going to, unless you've really read this, you won't know. This is a whole different aspect that's coming up. I want to say this. Toil is really slavery. And that's what the story's telling you. The reality of what we're seeing is the not giving truth, not telling you who you are, hiding these aspects, keeping divide and conquer mentality all through the programming over and over, over and over. You can see it down to the jot and tittle. Divide sex, divide race, divide height, divide fat and skinny, just divide politically. Left and right's gone crazy. Both are madness incarnate. And then we look at this now, and then we can see this. So Eve bears children. Now, after she bore Cain, their son, Cain cultivated the land, whereupon he knew his wife, again becoming pregnant. She bore Abel. Abel was a herdsman of sheep. Cain brought them from the crops of the field, but Abel brought an offering amongst the lambs. God, looking upon the votive offerings of Abel, but did not accept the offerings of Cain, fleshly, Cain pursued Abel his brother. God said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? He answered and said, saying, am I my brother's keeper? Now, this even makes sense clear because we know the Cain and Abel. And I had said on the video yesterday, and I've said this multiple times, that when you take a coin, I'm looking for a coin around here. I don't see one laying around. that the word coin comes from the word Cain in etymology. And then after coin and Cain, you have king. This is why the leaders of the world are after Abel, right? Or after Cain, because Cain is king. Where's the king connected to? The money. That's why all the kings have dollar bills and coins with their face on it. It goes back to the necromancy. Yeah, this is really what this is on this level. He said, as his brother's keeper. God said to Cain, listen. The voice of your brother's blood is crying up to me. You have sinned with your mouth. It will return to you. Anyone who kills Cain will let loose 7 vengeances. You will exist groaning and trembling. See, they're giving power already, that power going to the Cain or the kings. Them who assist the system in being in rulership, as we see over and over with all these leaders. I'm beginning to see more and more this makes sense. I've even was saying before this that when I looked at other countries that we've been told technically they're our enemies, that's our that they're against us, they're against us. It's never the people. It's always both peoples meant. Yeah. Do you know what I mean by governments? Yeah, both of their mints are the ones controlling the reality from them, just like us. Many countries do not have the openness like we have had here. I'll say that to question things. There's been a lot of people who question things. A lot of it was planted to create division when certain things were questioned. But a lot of people have been open-minded for years about certain things. Some people have degrees of, they just see that the government's all corrupt and we're being lied to and there's all kinds of stuff happening above us that we don't know. And many people are in that level. Many people only talk about what we call conspiracy governmental ploys, what we're not told about history, what we're not told about the shape of the earth, all these type of things. But also there's the aspects of taking it to a higher thing, which I'm okay with those things because there's truth to them on a certain level. But what about the work of who we really are? And that's really why I base this channel, is talking about some of that, but not the major talking points, is learning how to build yourself and become knowing frequency, knowing vibration, knowing yourself, that you are able to assist yourself in the development of yourself in its exploration or in its growth of ascension. So here, Adam knew his partner Eve, and she became pregnant with Seth. Let's see, where were you at? I'm your brother's keeper. God said to Cain, listen, the voice of your brother's crying up to me. You have sinned with your mouth. We read that. And Adam knew his partner Eve, and she became pregnant with Seth. To Adam, and said, I have borne another man through God in a place of Abel. Again, Eve became pregnant, and this is the trip that we've never been told. And this is going to blow your mind, especially I know a lot of you who are really honed in on this. And she bore Noriah, and said, he had produced for me a virgin, for an assistance for many generations of human beings. She is a virgin whom forces did not defile. The mankind began to multiply and prove the flood. This is so heavy because what you're getting with Noriah, and it reminds me of something. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to look up what the word means, Noriah. I'm going to even see first if it's in etymology. It might not be. No. But let's look up this word Noriah, this name Noriah, what it means. Why do I want to know what it means? Noriah's meaning. It means, Noriah is believed to be derived from Horia, meaning beautiful, pleasant, or lovely. The thought of Noriah. Noriah, get ready, folks. In this book, Noriah is not a game player. And if you notice the last part of this before we get to the flood, there's an improvement, right? It says this. Noriah said, she produced me a virgin of assistance for Eve. For many generations, remember, Eve is the manifestation of Sophia. The manifest physical Sophia is Eve. For many generations of human beings, she's a virgin from the forces that were not defiled. Noria comes through another bloodline. Noria comes from the higher source. Noria is not mingled with the lower earth source and the higher source. She's full higher source. She doesn't have a connection to this lower realm. And this is what's going to lead you to see the story, how the story ends up manifesting. Noria did not be defiled. And mankind began to multiply, and it says improved. Then the flood. So what we're told about the flood is God's judgment. It's just the meanness in this story, the meanness or the tyrannical parts of Yada-Baoth. Because folks are getting better, he decides, I got to end the sucker because these folks are getting too grown. They're waking up. They're seeing a little hoaxy of me. They're knowing they're connected to a greater place than me. And so with this greater place than me that they're connected to, guess what? They really have more power than me. They really have more power than me is really what is the story. So let's read the flood. And let's see. I don't know if we may stop at the flood. And then we'll start the next one. 2 will be Noria battles rulers. The rulers took counsel with one another and said, come, let us cause a flood with our own hands and obliterate all flesh from man to the beast. But when the rulers' forces came known of their decision, he said to Noah, make yourself an ark from the wood that does not rot. Hide it in it with your children and the beasts and the birds in heaven and the small to large, and set it upon Mount Seir. When Noria came to him wanting to board the ark, he would not let her. She blew upon the ark and caused it to be consumed by fire. Again, he made the ark for a second time. This is heavy. I love this. Why? How big is this? Let's close with this. We'll read it. We'll get started with Noria. The rulers went to meet her, intending to lead her astray. Their supreme chief said to her, your mother Eve came to us. But Noria turned to them and said to them, it is you. You are the rulers of darkness. You are accursed. You did not know my mother. Instead, it was your own female that you knew. See, they went and they made an image of her. Remember, they were trying to do that to create something bigger. They had sex with their own image that was not really her. And that's the condemnation that spoke about earlier. For I'm not your descendant. Rather, so she's saying, I'm not from you guys. I have no connection with you guys. I'm not part of your bloodline. I'm from a place you know not of. I love this. Descendant, rather from the world above that I come. I'm coming from a higher space you not know of. The arrogant ruler turned with all his might, and his countenance was like the blazing fire. And he said to her presumptuously, you must service us, and did also your mother Eve. But Noria turned with power, and a loud voice she cried up to the Holy One, the God of all, rescue from the rulers of unrighteousness and save me from their clutches at once. The great angel came down from the heavens and said to her, why are you crying up to God? Why do you act so boldly toward the Holy Spirit? Noria said, who are you? The rulers of unrighteousness have withdrawn from her. He said, I am Elith Sagacity, the great angel who stands in the presence of the Holy Spirit. I've been sent to speak with you and save you from the grasp of the lawless, and I shall teach you about your root. So really in the rest, we'll get into this in the next Revelation, Elith. He's going to teach her every aspect, and we'll see this, about the archons, their power and lack thereof, their weaknesses, their flaws, and give her a game plan of her power where she can go and the power she has over them. And I love this. This is like checkmate, buddy boys. I love this. I'm going to be honest. I love this. This just makes so much sense to me that they would hide these things from us. I mean, they hid these things from us. Let me stop the share real quick. That they would stop these things from us. And I'm at the 40-minute mark. So, yeah. But you guys, I mean, this is part 1 of the reality of the rulers. You guys have a great day. I did tape today, and this will be out tomorrow. I will edit it and have it out by tomorrow morning. The Easter. This will be the Easter. Because, I don't get into that anymore. I don't see any of that anymore as far as the ones who called everybody pagans are using the same thing as paganism, which we know is just the whole world. Meaning of it is just, wow. I just like, wow, wow, wow. But you guys have a great day. I mean, this was awesome stuff. Thank you for everything. See the screens. I will leave this. I will say the stuff. I will even, please help with this work. I got some new stuff. I got this. And if you can, I would really enjoy it. I have retired. I am 63. I love this. I've been in Revelation, like I said, for 30 years. I woke up when I was 33. The process isn't fast. Like a lot of you newer people that are younger or just getting it now, you guys are going boom, boom. 30 years was a process for me to get to where I'm at now. But you guys are kind of moving faster in this time because everything seems faster. But you guys have a great day.